Madeline and I have been there. We stood right by the stone. I kissed the stone. I really did. And you can't read anything on it. In fact, when it was first rubbed, the archaeologists didn't know what it meant either. But since we have then translated the writing, and now we can read it with the aid of computers, you can read it just like a newspaper. And what that stone says is the structure of the Mayan calendar. The Mayan calendar is in 9 different levels. Okay, does that look like a pyramid to you? That's good. That's why all those pyramids down there are all 9 levels. Because those big structures that the Maya built out of stone were ceremonial centers to approximate or to show people the progression up this ladder or up these steps. I'm going to write bigger. It also shows that each one of these levels is subdivided into 13 individual sections. Now there goes that top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On the Mayan calendar, there are 7 periods of light in each one of these levels. There's 7 periods of light. And there's 6 periods of dark. 7 days and 6 nights to each level of creation. Where have we heard that before? Genesis? As a matter of fact, the Mesopotamians and the Sumerians, the first people to wrote in cuneiform on clay tablets that each level of creation had 7 days and 6 nights. So the Maya weren't the first people to have this information. There were other civilizations earlier. But the Maya were the most recent ancient civilization. They left the freshest tracks, which is why Coleman and I have picked up on it. Okay? The days, each day is a period of enlightenment or increase in consciousness. And each night is a period of applying that consciousness. You've done that all your life. You've learned something new and then went out and applied it, haven't you? You get all excited about something you just learned, and then you run out and you do it. Interesting, during that application, sometimes you learn what you didn't already know. These are called mistakes. Where you go out, you get all excited, and you learn about it. Remember, guys, when we first learned about hammer, wood, and nails? And how to put things together. You just pounding boards together. And you, bam! Ow! Now you know something more than you did before. We'll see that sometimes during this application stage, there's things that look like mistakes. But it's all part of the learning process, isn't it? So this very first cycle, it was carved some 2,500 years ago on this rock, started 16.4 billion, that's billion with a B, billion years ago. This is why this information hasn't been studied by the archaeologists. The archaeologists could not conceive of why Indians making pots in the jungle would have any business thinking about 16.4 billion years. So they just put it on the shelf and nobody else looked at it until Coleman came along. In fact, when this stone was unearthed, the astronomers, you know, the guys that was looking out into the galaxies, they had postulated that the universe, the Big Bang, happened somewhere between 20 and 10 billion years ago. And then later, as we got better and better telescopes, we could see further out into the... And then they went, well, no, it wasn't 20, it was like 12 billion years ago, and that was it. So this was impossible. Well, now we've updated Hubble, and we've found that there are things out there 14.5 billion years old. I bet you that in the next few years, we're going to find out that the Maya had it right on. That the Big Bang happened 16.4 billion of our years ago. Understand that this is an exact number of tunes of 360-day cycles, but when you work it to our year, it gets to a fraction. Okay. This whole cycle, 16.4 billion years, is divided into 13 different sections. Each one of them 1.26 billion years long. So a day in this cycle was 1.25 billion years. And each night lasted for 1.25 billion years. Okay? Each one of these has a particular intention in creation. We won't go into that right now, but each one of them has a particular intention. And it's followed all these intentions all the way across. This cycle has a name for its product, what it produced. It's called the cellular cycle, because way over here at the very, very end, in this last section, in the seventh day, what happened 1.26 billion years ago is the first live cell on this planet. Now, up until that time, consciousness was very busy. Consciousness was busy creating or doing business. You know, it had a particular mode by which it was operating. And it was operating in the mode of action, reaction. I'll just abbreviate it here. But action, reaction was this whole cycle. Chemical, gravitational, frictional, all of the physical laws that we understand and still use today, all of those things were established from the Big Bang forward. Then we'll go through some of the detail of what happened in these in just a minute. The very next cycle, carved on that rock, started 820 million years ago. 820 million years ago. And it started going through these same 13 steps. Each one of those steps taking 63.4 million years each. This one was 1.26 billion years each. This one's only 63.4 million years each. Yes?
A day to a day?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that question. And the answer is, creation has the deck stacked in consciousness's favor. We go from a day to another day. Okay? This whole cycle, 820 million years, fits very tidily into 1.26 billion, doesn't it? This whole cycle fits in that box very comfortably. Does that make sense? So we got all the way over here to this last light, and then we got another light. And this started a whole nother process. This has a name for its product. Mammalian cycle. Why? Because 63.4 million years ago, what happened? The first live Earths. Now back here, right at this line, individual cells started clumping together for cooperation for better survival. And then they evolved stage by stage by stage into more and more complex organisms. And when you go to study this on your own, because we're not going to drag you through all the detail or